it's always interesting talking to people about about doom, because we get interviewed by a lot of people that will tell us we're doom.
Yeah.
They'll tell us you're cosmic doom. They'll say you're not really. I don't really think of you as a doom band, and we get every single kind of thing, and it's kind of all true. Like we are doom, we're cosmic.
It's all kind of subjective, really.
But we're also like a weird. Like if we're on a doom fest, we're the weirdest band on that bill usually.
Yeah.
And not because it's better or anything like that. I don't mean it like connotatively. It's just we're just become weird. I mean, I would say the same thing of your band. Like if you're going to a doom metal festival or any kind of music festival, probably nobody is doing what you are doing in the way that you're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, the way you achieve with your bass and what your guys' sense of space and the way those vocals come together and all the layers come together, and it's two people and there's the foot organ and there's...
It's funny, I was having a conversation with someone last night about this exact subject, and they were saying, they're like, there's a lot of bands from the Pacific Northwest that you could say are like Pacific Northwest doom bands, but none of them really have anything in common amongst them that you could say there's a genre of doom from the Pacific Northwest. There's just so many bands up there that don't necessarily sound too much like other bands anywhere else. They're just all kind of their own weird thing. And in a way, it's a lot more fun to be part of the weird thing than to be part of this kind of like fitting in some kind of mold or whatever.
The first YOB demo was about as in the mold as it could be. I mean, It was straight up like Sleep, first Electric Wizard, a little bit of Cathedral. I still had my weird ass singing, but it was very genre, very, very, very. And then as soon as Elaborations came out, we started like already getting more punk and death metal, and then it's just been falling apart ever since, But,
the continuous train wreck.
Yes, exactly. The continuous train wreck, the mistake you make enough times that it becomes your style.
Right. He gets a cooler mistake every time.
Yeah, we hope.
I don't think you'd find too many doom bands that don't have attention to the space between notes or sections or...
Yeah, it's pretty wide open in as far as pretty much any of the bands, whether they be, the old school, Warning or Solitude Aeturnus or Candlemass, to like anything that Wino's done, which is sometimes pretty boogie, it's pretty upbeat. And yet there still is this kind of sense of not just riffs, but how those riffs need to be kind of infused with a sense of urgency and a vibe at whatever speed. So you can have a band that's playing at, corrupted speed. You can have a band that's playing at Spirit Caravan, and if you really don't mean it, it doesn't go very far. And so you have to have that kind of sense. And the subject matter, I almost feel like in a way that I'm not, I know what I love when I hear, when a doom band strikes me, and it doesn't have to be of any particular style or subject matter. And we're kind of a weird anomaly within that, because we write about things that are pretty different than a lot of the doom bands. And I don't even know, I think we're doom influenced. I think it's easier to say we're a doom band than to say we're a grindcore band. But there's a lot of people that would argue as to whether we're a doom band or not, and that's still a major reference point for us. Cathedral, Force of Equilibrium is still my all-time favorite heavy album, probably. And those influences are there. And one thing I like about underground heavy music in general is just its willingness to either go deeper and deeper into a style or into a particular genre, kind of like an imposed choice of like, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it, or just borrowing from everything and then putting it in the blender and making it its own. And it's wild that doom has so many like sub genres now. In the doom, a lot of doom bands, a lot of reference points come at least in part from 70s records, 70s music, whether it be the obvious ones, Sabbath and Pink Floyd, but also like Tangerine Dream and albums that are these sonic landscapes. And I don't think it's uncommon for bands like ours to try to dig in and find those chewy in between space textures, where on one hand you're letting space be, but on another hand you take space and then you put other things in there that become. Whitehorse is brilliant at it, as far as like a really just brutal band, or Corrupted too, obviously, just having all this kind of soundscapes or walls of feedback, or the way I forget his name, but he has that table from Whitehorse with the reverb tank on it, and he's just like beating the hell out of this table while they're playing. And
does he do that live?
Yes. And it's, but I think that's definitely something. Sure, I mean, there's maybe some commercialized or whether it be commercialized cool or uncool that use some of the things like that too. But I think in Doom, definitely people are going for those kind of textured sounds and having those happy, really going for some complex space. The bands that are the best at it, it's just a matter of either focusing on becoming a better them.
Yeah.
Which I think
totally.
Sleep has done, for example. They've just put out their best collection of songs. There's one or two songs I could say off Holy Mountain are like maybe my favorite Sleep tunes. Obviously, Dope Smoker is Dope Smoker. I mean, what can you say about that hasn't been said? But their new album, it's still them all the way, but it's just somehow refined. And then you have bands like Melvins. Not really Doom, but they are often in that kind of slightly under that umbrella a little bit. And their thing is about how do we reinvent? How do we come up with something new? How do we push? How do we get weird? And so they have just this spirit of adventure. And I think of like, at least YOB anyway, we're kind of somewhere in the middle, where we have a foot in lineage. We're not just willing to abandon where we've been, but at the same time we have to find a new mistake to make, of some kind of weird, trippy thing that we haven't done on another record, so we can kind of like earn our keep, is what it feels like to me. And not just put out the same, we want to have a new album actually feel new and have a different aura and a different, some things that are surprising to us. Like if we can be surprised and be like, oh, we did that was weird.
I think
I think it's good. I don't know.
That's like the perfect like way to describe what I would say is like a great start to any band. It's like having a foot in the lineage, and anything else is just wherever.
Yeah, wide open territory.
Yeah.
Do not be satisfied. And it's like I'll say that, and then I'll see a band that's like steeped in tradition, like really, really steeped into it, and yet their emotions are original. Like you really feel like you've heard somebody scream 100,000 times, but now here's this one person screaming, and they personally have something to scream about.
Sure.
And then it all of a sudden takes on this whole new cadence that didn't happen that Mike Williams couldn't do, or anybody else couldn't do, because it was that individual bringing something unique out of themselves.
Just them being very honest.
That's it. Sometimes I think I'm jaded, but because I'll just hear, what seems like in any genre, you'll just hear the bands that are kind of in a comfort zone, and it's not right or wrong, and it's not a judgment. It just, I'll hit it and be like, okay, well that makes me want to listen to this, or that makes me want to listen to this other band that they're probably influenced by. But then you'll hear a band that's kind of fits in the same category, except for it's just ripping out of the speakers. It's exploding in your, just with energy, and that's the people. So original emotions, the in the moment truth can, it will transcend. I think that's why there can always be another great rock and roll band. Because if a great band of people really just happen on like the true sense of rock and roll, there's just a swath of people that are going to get behind it, because that's just something that everyone resonates with. Yes, more than no. Not everyone, but a lot of people. I do. I can't help it. I'm old. I was brought up on classic rock. Leave me alone. Thank you for coming out to the shows. We get to come out here and play again, and people coming out and seeing us and sharing the time with us. It's special, bands tour all year round, and people may come, may not come. We're lucky enough to not only be together as old friends, but have people coming out and sharing the time with us, and it's miraculous, and thanks. Love it.